photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they are so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
Hello and welcome to the fifth category of the 2025 Australian Photographic Prize. We are judging the landscape category. We're thrilled that you have joined us from wherever you are across the world as we celebrate incredible artistry and skill of photography. I'm Robin Campbell, the Foundation Director of the Australian Photographic Prize. I've been invited here on behalf of Daniel Bingham, the 2025 Australian Photographic Prize Competition Director. Also working hard to make this prize a reality is our Director of Judging, Chris Anderson, who has expertly curated the incredible panel that you will be hearing from today from Australia and all over the world. And thank you to Nathan Bingham, who will be expertly running our live stream, and Helen Bingham, our amazing scribe. Before we begin, we have a custom at the beginning of meetings in Australia that bring people together. It's called the Acknowledgement of Country. I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Wurrung Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which this event is hosted today. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. A huge thank you to our sponsors. The Australian Photographic Prize would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors, Nikon Australia, our major sponsor, and they are awarding the overall winner $5,000 in Nikon product. Thank you so much to Julie, Kylie, and the Australian Nikon team, most of which are in Singapore at the moment, I think, shooting the tennis. So thanks, guys, for your support. Also like to thank our division sponsors, AZO, who are sponsoring the 2025 Creative Photographer of the Year with an AZO monitor valued at over $2,500. Thank you to KL and Godox for sponsoring our Classic division, and Ilford for sponsoring our Single Capture division. Also, big thank you to Photography Studies College, who are kindly donating $1,500 scholarship on any course at Photography Studies College for a high school student photographer. So amazing that we're encouraging the next generation of students, not just at university, but high school level as well. Thank you, PSC. And to the print shop, who are donating a print consultation and 2 A1 prints with a total of $5,000 to the Student Photographer of the Year. Please show them your appreciation by visiting their websites, tagging them in your posts, and letting them know that their support makes a difference. So this is how the session is going to be run. Each finalist image will be judged by our live panel, who will provide live commentary, feedback, and when appropriate, everyone's favourite, challenges. Individual image scores will be displayed as we go, and at the end of the session, both the Australian and international winners will be selected offline by our panel of judges from the top 5 scoring entries. First, second, and third places will be announced during our live stream awards event next Sunday, the 20th of July. So make sure you mark your calendar and join us. We're now going to play a run through of the top 30 images in the landscape category. Thanks, Nathan. I now have the honour of introducing our legendary panel mentor, Tony Hewitt. Tony is nationally and internationally recognised award-winning photographer and awards presenter. Thanks so much for joining us, Tony.
Thanks, Robin, and welcome everybody to the landscape category at the Australian Photographic Prize 2025. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to our wonderful judging panel, and it is a true privilege to be able to chair a panel with people with such an amazing background in this area. I'll go through them quickly. Andrew Campbell, a Victorian photographer, 25 years of judging experience at various competitions around the world, and his work spans everything from portraiture, commercial, right through to astro. He's a Grand Master of the AIPP, a Fellow of the NZIPP, and a WPPI Master, and we're excited to have him back. He brings a calm presence with a wide-ranging knowledge. Thanks, Andrew. Chris Saunders from WA, Perth-based landscape photographer, and he has a gift for transferring natural scenes into works of art using abstract, painterly types of photography. He has also won the Australian Photographer of the Year 3 times, once with the AIPP and twice with the NZIPP. And again, another calm presence on the judging panel who brings a depth of experience and an insight that we would truly appreciate in this panel. Kay Davis from New Zealand is a photographic artist based over there. She works across both analog and digital methods and draws inspiration from natural forms. If you get a chance to have a look at Kay's work, it would truly inspire you. She holds a NZIPP Grand Master of Photography and NZIPP Honorary Fellow, 4-time winner of the NZIPP Creative Photographer of the Year. She's joining us, and again, another one with a consistent presence that brings a calmness to the panel and an originality in storytelling that will also give another depth. Mandarin Montgomery from Victoria is somebody known for sort of surreal landscapes and conceptual art. She's a Master 4 with the AIPP and received many national and international awards, and has a past Australian Portrait Photographer of the Year with the AIPP. She joins the panel for the Australian Photographic Prize, and she brings a sharp creative vision and a love for images that dare to be different, a little bit like Mandarin herself, something we love in her. Matt Palmer, a Victorian-based photographer with a gallery up in the Alpine area of Victoria, and well known for his beautiful landscape and documentary work. He has a deep love for the natural world, which is seen in his work and is often illustrated through his 200 awards across the photography range. Recent accolades include the NZIPP Australian Travel Photographer of the Year, NZIPP Australian Documentary Photographer of the Year, just to name a couple. And he comes back to the Australian Photographic Prize, having judged with us before, and has an incredible eye for the authenticity and atmosphere behind strong storytelling. So we're really glad to have him on board. Thanks, Matt. Rachel Smith. Rachel is a photographic artist based in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Did I say that right, Rachel? Close enough? No, Aotearoa. I don't know, I always get it wrong. Known for her visual storytelling, an excellent printer and a great educator. She has a Master of Fine Arts and a decade of judging experience to bring to the panel, a Master with the NZIPP, an Ilford Master and Certified Printer. And she has a background not only to be someone who can bring insightful feedback in the area of the technical side of the images, but also has a reputation for a warmth in the way she delivers her feedback. And the last member of our panel is Nuran Zulu, travel writer, cultural guide, photographer, specialising anything from jewellery, architecture and corporate imagery, and of course landscape. He blends photography with storytelling and often looks to preserve cultural aspects of those images. Often see him when he talks about his home countries and that part of the world that he comes from Persia to Iran, was his book, and he brings another facet to the multifaceted panel that we have before us. Landscape category images celebrating the beauty of the natural environment, showcasing the spaces and scenery of the natural world. It falls under the classic division. The rules there, you can find them online, but basically post-production techniques may be used to complement the original intent of the capture. You guys ready to go? I hope you are. We have 7 judges on our panel. 5 will be active at any one time, and they'll move in and out seamlessly, as you will notice. Sit back, make sure your coffee's warm, and let's get the first print started. The panel starting is Andrew, Chris, Kay, Mandarin, and Rachel. Off you go, judges. Let's have a look. We have an 83, a silver award. Well done, guys and girls, and congratulations to the photographer. Nobody's in a position to challenge, and what we mean by that for the audience's benefit is that all the judges are reasonably consistent. As you can see, they're all within 3 or 4 of the score. They would need to be 5 or more points away or in the gold range to be able to elect a challenge. So I'm going to ask Kay Davis, who's right on that 83, for a brief comment that might assist the author.
Really lovely image. I'm enjoying the contrast of the textures within the image. I think the only thing for me that I would like to improve somehow is the waterline, whether it could do with some smoothing through long exposure, just to create a more cohesive overall image. Beautiful image though.
Thank you, Kay. We have the next image, thanks. This image scores 79 as a highly commended. If you are watching and can see the scores in front of you, you will notice that the average score, or you may not notice, the average score might be 81, but it's with the competition, basically what happens is if 3 or more scores are in a different range, that's where it will end up. So in this case, with an average of 81, but 3 people scoring below 80, the image scores a 79, highly commended. Let's have a comment from Rachel Smith. Thanks, Rachel. Unless you're choosing to challenge, are you? Can't hear you.
Sorry, slow on the unmute. I was putting my hand up to challenge. I was not fast.
Okay, so great. So if you are going to challenge, just a reminder, off mute, yell it out. We can hear it. You take it away then, Rachel. You might have something that the others didn't see.
Yeah, I scored this 87, so in the silver distinction range. I found the depth and the contrast, the juxtaposition of the man-made elements with the road and the pylons in that little dark space in the foreground, and then the dead trees coming through in the far right. Really intriguing. I thought it told quite a lovely story about the sort of darker side of man's impact in the natural environment, and I thought it was quite delicately and beautifully handled. So it'd be interested to see what other people say.
Okay, well, let's hear from Mandarin. You're on 78, Mandarin. 77.
It is quite a stunning image, and I agree with those points, Rachel. Where it's letting down for me is generally when you're looking at a landscape, if there is drop off as far as the tonality from the atmosphere, which tends to happen as your eye moves back further into the distance, there's a disconnect. We've got layers of furthering distance, but you've got some really muted hues, but then you've got a much clearer image at the top of the image, and it doesn't look like it's mist or clouds. It doesn't ring true, and for that reason I scored it in the high 70s.
Okay, I'm going to go to Kay. You're in the 83, so you're in the silver. You support there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in two camps here. I do find the fall off of tonal values in that middle ground a little bit distracting, which is why I haven't gone into the higher range. I've kept it in the silver range. But I really value what the photographer's seen here in terms of the beautiful transition from foreground through to background. My eye does keep playing on the highlights and the snow and the mountains. But I absolutely really enjoying the texture throughout the whole image.
Thanks, Kay. We'll go back to you, Rachel.
Oh, thanks everyone. I can see what you mean about the tonality, Mandarin, but I was actually thinking of that as some sort of mist or cloud or smoke. It's a little bit hard to tell, but there's so much beautiful detail in there, and so it didn't really bother me that much because you can see the patterns coming through in the foreground with those cloudy patches too. So yeah, it didn't really put me off that much. There's a couple of us in silver, so if you can't go as high as silver with distinction like me, it would be nice if you could still come up into that range.
Thanks, Rachel. You'll hold your score. Judges, you can rescore. Take on board what you've heard and see where that puts you now. And we have an 82 silver award. Well done. Congratulations to the photographer, and well done, judges. Some nice comments there that'll help everybody, not just the photographer who took the image. We'll have the next image, please. For those at home that are wondering why the judges are looking off screen, we encourage them to use calibrated monitors. So they may be using a second screen with a calibrated monitor to see the image as large as they can and in as highest quality possible. And then they may be using a second screen for the actual Zoom call where they're communicating with myself and the other judges. So they'll often look off the screen just to see, as I do too, just to see where it is, and to be able to get the best opportunity to view the image in all its potential. And we have an 84 silver award. Well done. I got a feeling there might not be the end of it. Am I right? Yes, Andrew, your hand went up first. Andrew is challenging on 91, and there's another 91 there. So from 80 to 91, go for it, Andrew. Thanks, Andy. You're on mute now.
There we go. Is that unmuted now? Okay. This is a magnificent image. It's powerful. What I'm really enjoying here is this juxtaposition of color, where the what appear to be geese are flying through at the top left, but if you look really carefully, and we judges can pixel peep, there's a whole bunch of them flying through what is almost the smoke and the fire below. They're kind of fearless, and there's so much drama in this image. It's beautifully, beautifully seen. It's just got so much impact. I'd really like to hear what the others think, but I'm certainly voting for gold here.
Okay, well, let's listen to Chris on 82.
Yeah, so I like you. I liked the bouncing between those two sets of birds, Andrew. I think that that certainly gave you something to hook onto, and then use that as a base to explore the image. I really love the red, the powerful reds, and there's a hint of the background, on the left hand side as well, to give that extra dimensionality to the image. So there was a lot to like in the image. I didn't have the same emotive connection to it that it's had in you, in terms of that power to put it into a gold level. But if someone can help explain some of the narrative in there, that might get me over the line.
All right. Let's see what Kay has to say. She's also in the gold range.
Yeah, I mean, this is an incredibly well captured image. The timing of those geese or birds, whatever they are, at the top. But what to me is struck me is the narrative that's coming with the image. All of those birds down the bottom that are actually flying out of the fire. It's a narrative around nature and what happens with nature when fires happen. They flee. And so you can see all of this happening. But aside from that, also, you've got this really well-balanced image where the photographer has chosen specifically to create this quite graphic element down the bottom and telling us part of what's happening here. We've got these irrigation lines coming down the bottom, which theoretically, I don't know what's caused the fire, but to me it could be a fire gone out of control. But you've got these irrigation lines that farmers use that are not being used, and they're not, the fire's taken over anyway. So to me, there's a bigger story in the image than just the actual well captured scene that we're seeing, and the hues and the massive amount of hues in that red area just enhance the whole drama within the image. So I've scored it gold, and I'd love to see it get a gold.
We'll go back to, because it's a gold, I'm going to take a couple of extra comments. So Mandarin, you've got something to add?
Just very quickly, it is a stunning image. I'm on 83. I'm willing to come up. I wish the photographer had have just waited for 1 second to let those birds at the top just move slightly more into the frame, so that that left side just could be cropped enough so that that leading line on the lower edge that is in the mountain, I guess, is not leading our eye out of the frame. I wish that was cropped off. So it's just minute, but I am willing to come up.
Okay, let's go back to Andy and write a reply.
Thanks so much, team. It's good to have a good, robust debate about this. I wonder if anyone else picked up on the flight path that we're seeing here for the geese, as it arcs from the top left through the birds and then all the way down into the bottom middle third of the image. It's almost like they're kind of, that's the navigational path that they're following. And some of the guys down the bottom seem to have missed that, and they're kind of flying a bit in the danger zone. So that's pretty cool. I love the fact that the irrigation pipes that Kay mentioned, they're almost shimmering with the heat that you can see radiating out of this thing. So it's a really dramatic scene. And those birds are fearless. So let's go the birds. Come on, guys. This is a gold.
Thanks, Andy. You hold your score at 91. Judges, take on board all the comments and reassess your score. For the benefit of the listeners or the viewers, of course, they don't have to change their score. They take on board the extra information they've just heard, and they reassess where they sit. And in this case, they've reassessed and given this image a gold award, 90. Well done.
Woo-hoo!
Congratulations to the photographer. That's awesome. We're going to have a judge change. So, Kay, I'm going to let you step off for a minute. And Matt, if you'd like to join the panel, please. I'll do one at a time, so we'll start moving people through. And let's have the next image, please. Again, if you've just tuned in, although I guess with the link you know where you are, this is the landscape category, Australian Photographic Prize 2025. The judges are having a lot of fun because this is, without doubt, a world-class judging system that we're working with, and I believe developed and designed here in Oz by the fantastic team behind the Australian Photographic Prize. Thanks, judges. We have a silver award at 81. Congratulations. And Mandarin's madly
Yes, I
trying
will
to put herself
challenge.
off mute. I can see the body language. She'd like to challenge. She's on 87. You've got 78s through to 87. Off you go, Mandarin.
Yeah, so look, I would love to. I scored at 87. I think it's a really beautiful image. I would love to see a few more points and some conversations. So, just some things that I would like to make notice is the beautiful old dead tree. It's like it's spewing out the life of the Milky Way galaxy. At the very top of the tree, there's this beautiful, brilliant star. Now, astro colleague extraordinaire Andrew Campbell may know what star or planet that is. Maybe it's Mars, but it's just like, dotting the T. Also, it almost looks like the photographer has potentially put some sort of light source on the landscape in the background. There is some sort of light on that. It's not just a case of dodging and burning, it appears. So there's a lot of thought gone into this. I think it's beautifully presented. It's a lovely composition. And I believe it's definitely at least worth a silver distinction.
Well, let's hear from the astrophotographer extraordinaire, Andy Campbell. What have you got to add, Andy?
Look, I hear what Mandarin's saying, and I'm enjoying the commentary. My concern is not so much the bright star up there in row off Yukai, but it's the treatment of the branches against the Milky Way. There seems to be some kind of sort of subtle, shadowy darkening either side of the main branches onto the sky area, and that's a little distracting. I'm not quite sure what's happened there in the post-production. Other than that, I hear everything Mandarin said, and I think it's kind of cool that tree reminds me a little bit of the Parkes radio dish, and it's sort of spitting out its message to the galaxy.
Of course it does, Andy. Let's go all the way to WA. Chris Saunders, you're on 81, so you see it as an award in silver range?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to like in the image, and the branches pointing up to that bright point in the sky is definitely one of them. The thing that was distracting myself in this was the level of noise in the tree, and the tree is very much meant to be a focal part of the image, and I found that to be quite confusing, especially when looking at the same shadow areas on the horizon there, which seem to be relatively noise free. So again, a bit like Andrew's comments, that there's just some murkiness and some noise and some strange treatment in that tree, which is keeping me in the silver range right now.
Thanks, Chris. Mandarin, you hold your score at 87. Judges, reassess according to what you've heard. Oh, sorry, my apologies, Mandarin. You have a right of reply.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little rusty too, it's been a while. Off you go.
All right. Thank you to my fellow judges. Really solid comments, and it wasn't lost on me or the technical issues in this image. And had they not been present, I would have put this into a gold, which is why I scored it a silver distinction instead. I would implore the photographer to definitely go back and work on the technical elements. However, I still think that it is well worthy of a silver distinction for the intriguing and very clever compositional elements of, as Andrew said, of the tree spewing out like that space, that, you know what I mean, the observation space thing that you look at stars. That's terrible. But at any rate, it is really beautifully presented. And I definitely would love to see my judges come up just a few more points in this stunning image.
Thanks, Mandarin. You hold your score this time at 87, and everyone else can rescore. And you have an 83 silver award. Well done. That's great. Congratulations. Let's have the next image, please. And while the judges are looking at that, just for the benefit of those listening and watching, I'll just let you know that as you hear the judges talk about scores, Highly commended means highly competent, well executed work with sound technique and clear intent. Silver, strong and creative image with clear strengths in concept, technique, or impact. Next level would be silver with distinction, 85 to 89. Highly refined and distinctive image demonstrating strong concepts and elevated execution. Gold is from 90 to 94. Outstanding images showing excellence in concept, craft, and impact. And gold with distinction is a benchmark work at the highest level of photographic excellence, near flawless, emotionally powerful, and creatively groundbreaking. That's the haiku version. Thank you, judges. We have a solid silver at 83. Well done, judges. Interesting. Let's have a comment, if we can, please, from Matt Palmer.
Yeah, so I was just peeking into silver with distinction, but 83 is a great score as well. I think what appealed to me was the combination between the story that includes where these people live and the kind of landscape that they live in, with the little buildings there in the bay, and then the juxtaposition between that weather that's really foreboding and coming in, and you can see the sleet or the snow flying past through the shadows that are contained in the image.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, well done to the photographer, silver award. We'll have the next image, please. Have you entered your score, Mandarin? Oh, there we go. Silver award, 83. All judges reasonably close there. Fairly consistent assessment. And Andrew, you think you've got something? You have got something to add to that, to give us a comment? Thank you.
Oh, just a comment. First of all, to congratulate the very brave photographer hanging out there with their camera in the middle of a lightning storm. Look, they've done a terrific job. There's, in my opinion, a sniff too much foreground, which is just holding us back from that wonderful view of the sky. But other than that, I think it's a solid, well-deserved silver award, and congratulations to the entrant.
Thanks, Andy. Next image, please. Image scores silver with an 81. Again, all judges fairly consistent there, so well done to the photographer. Let's have a quick comment, if we can, please, from Chris.
Yeah, really good choice in presenting this in black and white, so that we focus on all those beautiful contrasting textures between the water and the mountains in the background. And the tonal range has been really well managed in this, from the highlights through to the shadows. Perhaps one area where this could be improved is just bringing a bit more detail out of the shadows in the foreground. But
Thanks, Chris.
yeah, excellent.
Great comments. With that, Chris, I'm going to do a judge change. You can take a little break, and let's invite Nuran to join us. Thanks, Nuran. And we'll have the next image, please. Image scores 85 with a silver distinction. Well done. That's awesome. What a fantastic image. Everybody pretty much agreed that that was an award-worthy image. Andrew, you've given this an 88. Let's see why everybody should, well, let everyone know why it was such a great image.
I think Tony, this one's quite surreal. It's also very new. I haven't seen anything quite like this before, and maybe that's just my own experience. But those wonderful tones and the colours are absolutely extraordinary. It's taking us into I guess, a landscape or a seascape that I feel is compelling, and you get a real sense of, pardon me, it's not no pun intended, a real sense of depth here, and I think it's a very, very good image.
I just add a comment too that there's an incredible strong narrative here when you see the tanks of the diver off the back and on the side, which is congruent with cave diving where you may need to squeeze between places that are a bit smaller. So there's a lot of little narratives in there as well. But yeah, great image. Congratulations. Nuran, you had a quick comment to add?
Yeah, I'd like to make a quick comment, and I'd like to go to golden, as I agree with Andrew, is an amazing image. But if the negative space is bigger around it, if we show that actually like the highlight area is smaller in the entire image, I think would be much stronger for my thinking.
Okay, thanks, Nuran. Next image, please. Image scores 79 by majority, highly commended, but I'm guessing we're going to have a challenge.
From me, please.
From Rachel on 88. And you've also got an 87 with you, Rachel, and the rest of that's 378s.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, so I scored this 88 in silver distinction. I found the subtlety and magic in just the small details and the play, the dance of the light, just absolutely magical. I can create my own landscape and my own environment in my mind and feel like I'm in this place. And it just, yeah, had a very instant emotional reaction to it. And I felt like it sat really well in that silver distinction range. So I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks.
Okay, well, they're all sitting back. Nobody's putting a hand up. So I'm going to dob people in. Matt, you gave it 78. You were one of three that did that.
Yeah, I put it into the highly commended range just because I felt like it was quite an original representation of the sun or sunlight and the play of that. I felt that the that light also draws us right to where the light's on the water itself, and I felt like some of the coloration in that area, while it might represent what was truly captured by the lens, there's some slightly discordant colors in there, like the greens that are sitting beside the oranges and things, and it felt a little bit kind of muddied in spots where those colors weren't quite dancing the way that maybe the rest of the image does. So that kind of held me back a bit, but I'm very much listening to the emotional content, and I feel like there's potentially a way to interpret this image as maybe a larger scene as well, because the blur of the sky and water on the right hand side does have this remnants of a storm front as well, which is quite a nice element.
Thanks, Matt. Andy, you were 87,
Yep.
so you were right up there as well.
Yeah, I'm in support of this one. The diaphanous quality of the reflections, I think, is glorious, and I think there's a kind of amazing sense of scale here, because this could be microscopic. It could be something like almost the ripples of a whale passing through. So it's that wonderful play where we can't quite figure out what it is, and that's part of the joy of of this. We can interpret it however we wish.
Thanks, Andy. Nobody else is in the 78 looks like they've got anything to actually add. So I'm going to come back to you, Rachel.
I nominate Andy for the best word so far.
I was going to say diaphanous. We have to get him to explain it in a minute.
So this image is, I don't know how often that anyone's done this, but I actually feel like I am in the water. I can feel it's the cool touch of it on my skin, and the warmth of the sun as my head pops over the surface. And sometimes when you do that, you get those little water droplets on your eyelashes or near your eyes, and that's what you're seeing. It's sort of taking me to this place of weightlessness and just relief and beauty, and just the most simplest of things. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Okay, well, Rachel's asking for a silver distinction. Judges, if you take on board what you've heard, reassess your score as you see fit. And we have an 85 silver distinction. Well done, Rachel. Congratulations to the photographer. And from a personal point of view, I have no idea whose it is, but I'm glad it got a silver distinction because it's a very ethereally, well-captured ethereal moment. Now, Andy, what was the word?
Diaphanous,
Diaphanous?
delicate and translucent.
There you go. Beautiful. There's one we can all write down. Thank you very much. Let's have a judge change. Mandarin, you can have a little break. Let's bring Kay Davis back, please. And let's have the next image. This image scores 83, silver award. And then Rachel reaches for the unmute button.
Yeah.
She's on 92. We got quite a good spread there, as you can see, Rachel. So explain to everybody what you saw that they may have missed.
Yeah, so initial impact for me was that beautiful highlight on the side of the sand dune, and that really brought me in. And as I went in there, my eye just roamed all around the desert. I felt like like a nomad basically. Just all of those textures. There's just the right hint of darkness in the foreground and in the right hand side to just make me take this beautiful journey. I can feel the dryness, and I just thought it was really enchanting and beautifully handled.
Okay. Kay, you're on 78.
Yeah, I put this in a highly commended range. I agree. The lighting is beautiful on the hills, and the textures. For me, the left foreground area is quite heavy and taking my eye away from what I'm seeing as though beautiful tones and textures within the central part of the image. I'm listening.
Okay, Matt, you're on 81.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a balance of those two opinions. And also, I believe that there's a little bit of a dust spot in the top left as well. And it's very hard to see because it is so textured. But there is a very circular kind of area of darkness up there, which caught my eye as well. So just that might be something that the entrant wants to have a look at. But overall, the lighting is gorgeous in the center.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Nuran, you're on 84, so you're just under silver distinction.
Just like the reason I didn't go to silver distinction is like just the textures and everything is beautiful. The palette is gorgeous, and needs a little bit more, something a little bit extra in this image to create this one to go to next level. But saying again, is gorgeously done and beautifully executed and very nicely organized, and the details are beautiful. But I'm happy to listen a bit more if I want to go up.
Okay, Rachel, back to you. Right of reply.
Yeah, so I said earlier that I feel like I'm going on a journey, and that little dark patch in the foreground has got some footprints in it, just leading me gently into the image. Then I'm hitting that bright patch of beautiful, beautiful light. And the light is leading me through the rest of the image to some very, very faint footprints on the sort of upper right third line, which just finish it off for me. And that's probably why I didn't notice that spot that Matt mentioned. I think that the journey is very, very well constructed and played. And if you can't join me in gold, then if we can get it into the silver with distinction, that would be really lovely.
Okay, Rachel, you hold your score at 92. Judges, reassess your scores. Again, for those viewing, that means judges may choose to change their score based on new information or may choose to leave it. In this case, they've all listened and they've said this was worth a bit more than we gave it. We've given it now a silver with distinction. Well done, 86. Congratulations to the photographer. Let's have another change of judges. Rachel, I'm going to let you take a little break and we're going to bring, let's bring Mandarin back. Thanks. You there, Mandarin? Good to go. Okay, let's have the next image. This image scores 84. Again, all judges very close to that, so it's a consistent opinion. Everybody's in that mid-80 range. Let's get a comment, please, from Kay, who was pretty close to that mid-range.
Yeah, beautiful image. I'm really enjoying just that feeling of warmth as the sun's coming in, glowing on the mountains, which takes me from what is actually a very, very cold environment. How to improve it, or how the photographer can actually maybe lift the score a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. There's some really just subtle peaks of sunlight coming onto the mountains on the right hand side. If there was a little bit more on there, maybe just that timing, just a little bit longer, waiting for that little bit more light would be really beautiful.
Thanks, Kay. Next image, please. Silver Award 83. Congratulations to the photographer. Again, all our judges are very consistent and in agreement all around that mid-80 range. Let's have a listen to Matt Palmer, who will explain why it's worth a silver and perhaps a few extra tips for the artist.
Yeah, beautiful photo from this location, and not the easiest thing to get there with no wind as well, to have that beautiful reflections. I think what could have improved it, there's just a few really minor technical things, particularly the chromatic aberration on one of the ridges on the mountain on the right hand side, where there's a kind of like just a little bit of a hot pink edge to one of those areas. That's something that you could look out for. But in terms of the good elements, there's also other things hiding. So there's a shooting star that's been captured through the clouds on the left, which is a lovely element as well.
Thanks, Matt. We'll have the next image, please. Image scores 84, silver award. No
Challenge.
question. Would probably get a challenge.
Challenge.
I'm gonna actually take Andy's challenge. He's on
Yep.
97. So it's an auto challenge as well so I think under our rules we have to take the auto challenge. So that means everybody's going to get a chance to speak and everybody has the chance to change their score. 97, 96, then 84, 82, 81. Andrew, I'm going to start with you as the highest score, and Kay, I'll leave you to come last. Thanks,
All right.
Andrew.
Absolutely magnificent image with breathtaking quality of tonality. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. The leading lines reflect the inverse of the pyramid to our right, which is perfectly placed. The choice to crop the foreground so heavily leads us beautifully into this strong and dramatic sky. And I don't think I've seen something quite like this before. It's almost got a prismatic effect, something reminiscent of the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album cover, which is iconic. And perhaps this is the landscape equivalent. Yeah, I'm not mucking around with this one. This is gold distinction.
Matt Palmer, 81. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, I really wish I could go there as well, but unfortunately I've just seen too many things. So I really hate to be the guy that picks on the details, but we kind of have to when we're talking about gold, particularly in the bottom right-hand side where there's the horizon line that's coming off the edge of what I'm going to assume is a volcano or the hill there. There's kind of shifts in that horizon line where there's been potentially some work done. And there's also some duplication of some sort of hill element that's just subtly over the top of the ridge line on the right there as well. And also, there's also at least the perception of a dust spot where the light is drawing in that triangle form down to the horizon there. There's where you've got those angles, and because they are so geometric, those angles, you kind of notice anything that's standing out. And there is a little bit of a circle there on the horizon from that. So yeah, I really hate to pick on it, but unfortunately, those are the precise things that held me back. There's also a little bit of shifting between smoothness and noise levels in the sky near the volcano structure as well, which are kind of a little bit unexplained. Perhaps there's been some work there. The photographer could have reintroduced the noise into those areas to make it more consistent, but I'm not sure what they've done, so I can't really assume.
Thanks, Matt. Very concise as always. Naran, you're in the middle. You're right on the silver. What can you add?
Just like I'm happy to listen more, but when I look at this image, and I need a little bit more foreground. I mean, it's like the composition. I hear what Andrew said, but the thing is, it's like I think too tight cropped in here, and a bit more elements in the front. I think it balances the image a bit more for my liking. But again, I'm very happy to listen to other comments.
Okay, Kay, before I do that, because we are talking, Andrew's asking for a gold distinction. Mandarin at 82. Have you got something to add?
Actually, Matt said most of it, but just to follow on, it's like a beautiful image, by the way, absolutely exquisite. It's just the finer details. And there is this, it's like a horizontal smudge tool behind that mountain, which does look a little bit over sharpened on the edges. So I scored it a silver. I'm willing to come up, but there was just those technical things. Beautiful image though.
Okay, Kay.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to repeat what Andrew said. I really found the image to be incredibly powerful. The color palette, the color tones in it are just sublime. The invert nature of the rays in the sky, and contrasting that to the pyramid of the thing. Matt, I do understand, and I did see those issues that you saw, but I forgave them because for me, this is incredibly unique. I could use the word incredibilization as a new word. It's something that I haven't seen before. And that is something I always like to reward, something that someone's seen that is different, that is fresh. Yes, there's some issues, some technical issues. maybe if you can't come up to gold distinction, gold would be really ideal. Nuran, I'm comfortable with the foreground. If there was any more of the foreground, we wouldn't be focusing on the whole graphic nature of the inversion or the mirroring of the sky and the pyramid of the mountain. The texture in that foreground would be too dominant for me if there was more in the foreground, and I think the photographer has cropped it sublimely. Yeah, and again, Mandarin, you mentioned the smudge, and that's what Matt also alluded to. But I think this is an incredibly strong and powerful image, and I'd at least like to see it in the gold range.
Okay, Kay, you're the last speaker. It was an auto challenge, and that means that the highest score was outside 10 points. So you all have the chance to rescore. Of course, you don't have to change your score. All I ask is that you take on board all the extra commentary you've heard and discussed with each other, and you reassess your score from now. Thank you.
2:57 p.m.
We now have a 91 Gold Award. Congratulations to the photographer. Well done. And all the judges obviously took on board what they heard. We will have another judge change. Andrew, you've been there from the start, so I'm going to give you a break. Chris Saunders, I'd like to welcome you back to the panel.
Just before that image goes, I think that smudge is a cloud, by the way. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And let's put Chris in. There we go. Next image, please. Thanks, Nuran. We have an 84 by majority, silver award, with a possible challenge from Nuran. Yes, Nuran on 91. Thanks, Nuran. Off you go.
Just like this one is so simple but so strong. This image is like details are actually captured very, very nicely, and putting that human element in this beautiful, vast geography is really give us to travel to places like this, and seeing landscape like this is give a very emotional sort of area. Like you can see that actually amount of works done with the details of that beautiful ice specters in that tree, and it's like quite a great image. And adding that little bit of human element with the red door, it gives another dimension, and really nice fact that actually the tree is in the middle of the like image, and it's like just in that vastness, and gives a quite a good emotional feeling in there. I think it's like we scored it in here 84, and I'm asking you to come to the gold range with me, and I think it's deserve it, but I like to hear what you're saying.
Okay, Mandarin, you're an 83.
A stunning image. It's making me feel cold looking at it. So congratulations to the photographer. I scored it a silver, and what prevented me going higher, I feel like different cropping would have actually made it a more impactful image, whether it was cropping a little off the bottom or even perhaps off the side to make it more of a square image. But further to that, You've got nature versus, something man-made, the juxtaposition, but behind the tree, there's just something that's really distracting. It looks like a man-made element, and I feel if the photographer had have just moved over just slightly to hide that, it wouldn't distract me so much from the absolute simplicity and beauty of the tree, nature, versus that little shed.
Okay, 88.
Yeah, there's a beautiful delicateness to this image, and I can really feel myself in the environment. I'm a little bit like Mandarin. I would like to have gone higher, and I'm still listening to what Nuran's comments are. But to me, the negative space on the left feels a little bit unbalanced. All of the elements are weighted towards the right-hand side, and yet my eye keeps being pulled to where I'd like to see something in that negative space on the left-hand side. So I agreed with Mandarin in terms of cropping it would help, and that little element behind the tree is a little bit distracting, but an absolutely beautiful, stunning image.
Thanks, Kay. Nuran, right of reply.
I think if it's tightly cropped on any other crop, then doesn't give this sense of space, And also there is that little shed and at the behind that tree. It's maybe it's like a little bit of problem, but you can see as a problem. But I don't see any problem with that one. But definitely worth a gold. But if it's not, just like a come to at least as a silver distinction range with me.
All right, you hold your score, Nuran. Everybody can rescore, taking on board what they've heard. And we have an 87 silver distinction. Congratulations to the photographer.
Thank you.
And we're going to have another judge change. If I can give Mandarin a break. You've been there for a while now. And let's bring Rachel Smith back. Thank you. And have the next image, please. Again, we're in the landscape category, Australian Photographic Prize 2025. That means it's live. Image scores 82, silver award. Well done to the photographer. Everybody's pretty close to that, all within about 2 or 3 points of that final score. Matt, can you add a comment perhaps for the photographer?
Yeah, the photographers captured an absolutely stunning atmosphere here. They're at the perfect time of day. You've got that beautiful fog sitting above the waterline and the golden light on the key subject of the image. It's really well photographed. I think what would have held it even higher is just looking at the edges of the mountains and how you're masking out the sky and just making sure that that's perfectly up against the mountain rather than leaving like a bit of an outline there.
Thanks, Matt. Next image, please. We have a 91 gold straight off the bat. Well done, judges, and congratulations to the photographer.
Can we still challenge since it's on gold?
You can, Matt. I was just going to say, if anybody'd like to. So, Matt, you're on 93. Let's have a chat. Tell everybody what you like about it.
I don't know that there's going to really be any arguments against the good things that we're probably going to say, but it doesn't hurt to have a chat when the image is so good. I think this is an image that really transports you somewhere else, and the photographer has photographed the scene in the absolute perfect conditions, even the muted sky. This
very powder in the sky as well, I think, from that softness, which helps reinforce that. I'm really loving the patchwork sort of effect as well on the building, and it's showing us how that building was constructed and how it's deteriorating and breaking down over the time on weathering. So you've got you got a passage of time element in the image, and like Matt, there's all these hidden little gems. The pile of wood on the right hand side of logs, things like that you can really start to enjoy the scenery. Wonder whether you're actually is this a frozen over lake where this is being shot from? From the sign on the mill. I think I've been low at 90, and I certainly would come up, and perhaps given a bit more extra time, other people are starting to see some new things in here as well.
Kay, you are 93 as well. You are the same as Matt.
Yeah, let's see if we can't maybe bring this up a few more points. There's so many contrasts in the image, even though it's a fairly monochromatic image. To me, it's an image that really highlights the fact that landscape photography can also tell a story. And we're seeing the story of what is obviously no one's living there, no one's working there in this flour mill. But we can imagine that one time people used to live in this, what was essentially a very harsh environment. The texture in the sky is just so subtle. We talk about a flour mill, and yet we're seeing the snow. So there's a connection between flour, which is white, and the snow. So it's like flour's been sprinkled all over the landscape. And I loved Chris's mention of the patchwork in the building. There's so many subtleties in this image that I think the longer you look at it, the more you can appreciate how beautiful and what there's a depth to the narrative and the story aside from the beauty that's actually presented to us in the actual image. So I'd like to see us come even higher.
Thanks, Kay. Matt, write a reply to you.
I think this is an image that benefits from sitting with it for longer. And the longer I sit with it, the more I think, well, is it near flawless? Yes. Is it emotionally powerful? For me, yes. Is it creatively groundbreaking? These are all the gold with distinction markers or criteria that I'm reading out here. For me, I don't think I've seen in like urbex or abandoned building style image shot in such a sympathetic way, but also relatively high key, really subtle, really beautiful. I feel like that kind of does make it creatively groundbreaking in a way. So I'd say maybe if you can assess those three criteria against how you feel, and maybe we'll see a even better score.
Thanks, Matt. You're going to hold at 93, but all the other judges can reassess their score as they see fit. Thanks, judges. Well, that was quick. 96, gold distinction. Well done, everybody. Congratulations to the photographer. Awesome work. That's great. Let's have the next image, please. Image scores 82, silver award. All judges within 1 point of that score, so it's pretty consistent opinion. Matt, can I have a quick comment from you, please, regarding this image?
Yeah, I think what really works well is the detail in what I'm assuming is salt or some kind of mineral formation in the foreground, and that leads you to that lit island in the background, which stands out because it is a little bit more faded, and it really takes you from the foreground into the background. The dark islands on the left almost give kind of a contrast, a different feel, like something else is going to change or happen. which I think works really well. Possibly the vignette on the top left might be a little bit overt for some viewers, so that could be something to look at. And then having that sky be a bit more consistent would add to the minimalist feel as well.
Thanks, Matt. Next image, please. Image scores 81, silver award. And again, everybody's pretty consistent, so the judges are all in agreement. Matt, you've got a comment to make on this image?
Yeah, sorry for talking so much.
Not at all.
I think the image is really glorious. The texture is beautiful. The light on the right-hand side leads us to some informational elements, such as the remnants of rockfall and things like that, which speak to the environment. There is what people might see as a face on the left-hand side, but I feel like that might have been artificially lightened a little bit, and that might be making it a little bit too overt, and rather keep it at its natural values, but as something to discover when you look at the image for longer.
Thanks, Matt. Next image, please. This image scores 80, silver award. Again, judges all very consistent. Let's have a quick comment, if we can, please, from Kay Davis, who also gave it at 81.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful image, lovely tones, beautiful texture. Maybe to lift it a little bit higher, I find the on the left-hand side, right at the top, the rocky crops a little bit distracting. And maybe they could have just been cropped out a little bit, but I really enjoy the light, the play of light on the contours, and that beautiful little bit of probably dead grass or whatever it is that are coming out. I think that just adds an extra beautiful element to it. So well done to the photographer.
Thanks, Kay. Rachel, we're going to give you a little break, and I'm going to put Mandarin back in. Thanks, Mandarin. Next image, please. I knew it would come out sooner or later. Image scores 81, silver award. And are you happy with that, Naran? Happy with that? Okay. We have all judges are reasonably close to that, but yeah, silver award. Well done to the photographer. Can I have a comment, please, from Kay, who was on 82?
Yeah, beautiful image. I really enjoy the technical aspect that the photographers used in terms of the slow shutter speed. They've done that really beautifully. It's created a really ethereal feeling in the water, and which contrast to the plant life in the landscape part. I love the creature that's coming out of that central area. I'm not sure how much, if anyone's got any else has comments in terms of how they could lift it, but I just found it really, really beautiful, really nice tones, and well captured.
Thanks. Mandarin, you had a quick comment you wanted to add?
Well, just to add to what Kay said, I think that central figure, it looks like a dragon, is really compelling. And I would have loved to have seen a little bit more drama in the landscape, perhaps deepen the tones, even cropping in a little bit so that that was more of a focus. But beautiful image.
Thank you. Next image, please. This image scores 81, silver award. Yeah. And once again, our judges are in sync and they've all decided pretty universally that this is about where it sits. Let's have a quick comment from Matt Palmer and might explain why it got a silver and perhaps a few tips for the photographer.
Yeah, it's a really beautifully shot rendition. It is a very popular location in the Dolomites. However, this is a really great example of photography from that area. I think what would have lifted me personally a little bit higher into the silver range of all my peers is this: there's a little bit of a dust spot up in the sky in the top left and some lines running through that sky as well. So I think what you've done in camera is immaculate, and it's just making sure the post-production is also meeting what you've done in camera.
Thanks, Matt. Mandarin, we're going to give you a break. Andrew, I'd like you to come back onto the panel, please. And let's have the next image. Thank you.
Stephen Barnaby's still okay?
We have a silver distinction with 86, although I think there'll be a voice from the West that might want to say something. So
I'll take this one on, Tony, if I can.
Thought you might, Chris. You're 90 and you've got mostly mid to high gold, high silvers to work with. Or high golds.
So what I really liked about this image was the brave choice to completely blow out the sky, to isolate that tree and basically allow us to focus on all that white texture that's in the branches and the ice coming off of it. So I think that's deliberate. And then when you look through the rest of the handling of this image, the highlights in the foreground and through that tree area are amazing. There's texture to die for in those branches. I don't think it's been over sharpened. I think it's just been appropriately done so to draw our attention to all those sort of cracks in the bark when you sort of start to pixel peep it. And I think the palette has just been very subtly dealt with. All in all, I feel I'm in a windswept, frozen area in the countryside, and I'm feeling the cold. So it's having, it's pulling me into the image, and I feel I'm there. And hopefully, we can have a bit of a discussion and see if we can get a few more points.
Thanks, Chris. Kay, 82.
Yeah, I've probably been a little bit harsh on the image. I guess what I love the absolute detail that I'm seeing in the tree trunks and the tree, absolutely sublime. I guess what was distracting for me was that almost like a vignette, a white vignette on the left and right hand side in the foreground. And to me, it was actually a little bit distracting, and it didn't seem cohesive with what the level of detail in that I'm seeing in that middle area of the road and the tree. So I am listening and I'm prepared to come up. But those are that's what to me was a little bit distracting.
Okay, Matt, are you in the silver distinction range?
Yeah, I also saw that vignette, but I actually quite liked it and how it had been applied, and I thought it was quite unusual to see a white vignette applied in this way. I think it gives it more of a lifted, floating, ethereal kind of feel to have applied that, particularly when it's affecting an area of landscape that's kind of actually a little bit uglier. And I think that's really purposeful. So, you don't usually go into this kind of landscape and take a beautiful, elegant picture of a tree, but then have the rocky road and scuff marks and things going past it. So I think that gives it some originality, and that the vignette has been used deliberately to lift that up instead of and bring you towards the tree rather than have you stuck in the gravel, so to speak. Probably the only complaint that I might have that you might be able to help me out with, Chris, is just you do have like a bit of a horizon line, and it's not really the horizon, it's just a ridge of whatever's nearby running on the right hand side of the tree, and then it kind of just disappears behind the tree and you don't see it again. And I could read that as maybe there's some low fog or something coming into the scene and it's creating that kind of visual effect. So I could probably forgive that, but if I'm picking up on that, it means the rest of the image is pretty darn good.
Thank you, Matt. Andy, something to add?
Thanks. Just I'm broadly in the middle here, guys, but I've just got a few concerns about composition. I'm I like the fact that the rule of thirds has been applied top to bottom, but with the image being placed so centrally, and my eyes being drawn to the right by the road here, and I'm just thinking if we had a little bit more space on the right, I'd be giving it those extra 3 points. But I'm very comfortable with this as a silver distinction because of the sheer craftsmanship here. The photographer has done a really lovely job of producing this image.
Thanks, Andy. Let's go back to Chris. Write a reply.
Yeah, so Matt, I'm not sure I can help you much more with that area on the left. I guess for me, it was just telling me I didn't need to look there as much, and I could focus more down the right hand side. But then on the flip side, I sort of do understand where Andy's coming from, that it might feel a bit nicer to have a bit more weight to that right hand side of the image. So I'm definitely aligned with that, and that's why I'm at 90, not higher. I think there are elements that do hold it back from going even higher. I just would like to try and get the photographer a couple more points, I think, to recognize that brave choice of completely blowing out probably over 50% of the image. To allow us to focus on a very high key image with a ton of texture in it. I think we're on 86. If we can push it up there a bit, that would be fantastic.
Chris, you hold your score and everybody else rescore. Thank you. 90 gold. Well done. Congratulations to the photographer, and great conversation. It was. I just want to make a comment that it's so lovely to see judges speaking in such a respectful way. I mean, I know with the Australian Photographic Prize judging pool, they all do it, but it's just nice to acknowledge it. It's very respectful to hear the different opinions and seriously take it on board. So well done. Congratulations to the photographer. Matt, I'm going to give you a little break, and I'm going to bring Rachel back. And next image, please. Image scores 81. Everybody's pretty close to that. And Chris, you've got something you'd like to comment. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good image, and there's a lot to like in it. The sort of leading line from the bottom left, drawing you through the image and then into that reflection, and then back up into the the distance in the background. And you get that real sense of serenity. I think if this was shot perhaps with a longer exposure to smooth out some of the clouds in the sky, that would have reinforced that and perhaps given it a few more points for me.
Thanks, Chris. Next image, please. This image scores 87, silver distinction, a solid score.
Can I challenge?
You can. Rachel on 92 is challenging. You have another 90 with you, and then scores down to 81. Rachel?
So the first thing that hit me with this image was the raw power, the ferocity of in the drama of the sea. I think it's been beautifully handled with the black and white conversion to just emphasize that dramatic nature. There's beautiful detail in there. I love that we can see that the figure, which gives us a great sense of scale, is actually wearing a life jacket. That's so good. It's a bit of a precarious position to be in. And I feel like it's really putting you in that environment and in that place, and sort of making you experience what it might be like to be standing there. And I haven't managed to find anything that is glaringly wrong with it, which is why I've put it into the gold. I feel like that darkness along the top of the sky with the hint of light coming through in the cloud is actually anchoring you from going out of the top of the frame and bringing you right back into all of that spray and mist and saltiness.
Thanks, Rachel. Kay, 81.
Yeah, I have underscored this. I mean, it is an incredibly powerful image, and I think the fact that you've got the subject, and not the subject, but the man standing on those rocks brings a really good sense of scale to the whole scene. So I've definitely underscored this, and I'm coming up.
Okay, let's hear from Chris, who's on 90.
Yeah, I was alongside you, Rachel. Some of the other things I really like. So I agree with everything you said. There's a couple of things that I would just put out there as well, which I think were favourites of mine. That highlight area in front of the person, hints at the chasm in the rock between the very foreground and what's going on in the background, and there's water in that space as well. The fact that the cloud is on an updraft as well helps reinforce that dynamic chaos, that feeling of chaos and turbidity and all those sorts of things going on. It might be easy to say, we should crop a bit more out of the right-hand side so we could focus on all that energy on the left. But I think, it sort of shows where it's all coming from, and the next wave that's coming in to do the same again. So I really like the strong vignette. I think it adds to the dynamics of the situation, and I think it's a fantastic image and very worthy of a gold.
Thanks, Chris. Let's go back to you, Rachel. Write a reply.
So I feel like this is a perfect example of an image reinforcing to us just how diminutive we are as a species, as people, how precarious our lives are, how powerful and all-encompassing the forces of nature are. And I feel like actually I wish I'd scored it higher. I'm going to challenge you all to actually go even higher than gold if you can, and see where we can take this.
Okay, Rachel, you will hold your score at 92, and I'll invite everybody else to rescore. Thanks. We have 91 gold award. Well done, Rachel. Well done, judges. Great result. I don't know about anyone else who's used to some other types of judging, but every time I say that, I'm expecting this round of applause to come, and it's deathly silent. So you kind of go, oh dear. Okay, let's have the next image, please. We have a score of 90, gold award. Well done. I can hear the applause. And first time I've seen in a long time, every one of you could challenge that score with an elective challenge, because 4 of you are in the gold and 1 of you is more than 5 points away. So this image has scored a gold, and given that most of you scored within a couple of points of that in the gold range, does anybody wish to challenge this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge it, because given that you could all choose to, I'm going to do a panel chair challenge, purely because you're all in a position where you could all discuss it. This way, everyone gets to talk, but no one gets the power to speak twice. Okay? So I'm going to start off with Kay. And you can all speak if you wish to, or if somebody steals your thunder and says what you pretty much were going to say, you can just maybe don't put your hand up. So if you're happy to speak, put your hand up and I'll come to you. If not, I won't come to you. So starting off with Kay on 92, let's hear from you, Kay. And you will all have the chance to rescore, but you won't have the chance to do a second right reply, Kay.
Wow. Wow. This image is incredible. I'm not sure I can fault it, actually. The balance, there's so much, the sharpness of the edges of the ice, the smoothness of the snow in the background, the contrast and the tonal values of that balance of the rocks in the foreground with all the penguins on, and that little mountain picking up at the back end on the left-hand side. Everything is just placed beautifully. These creatures have pretty much taken over what is a structure, a house, building, whatever is its purposes. I'm not sure. This is such an incredibly harsh environment, but there's so much life there. The color in the foreground with those beautiful ice caps and is beautiful, just the subtle tones of blue, which separate it from the snow or the ice in the background. There's just I just can't fault this image. If
That's
anything,
okay.
and I'm not sure whether it is a fault within the image, if anything, that little metal pieces that are sticking out of the snow could be the only thing. But again, that actually connects the building to man, to a story. So this is just incredibly amazing image. There's almost like even that rock that's sitting up on the right hand side, that's the arched rock, it almost resembles a tombstone head. So you can almost feel that man's been there but is no longer. So there's so much emotion and beauty in this image.
Thanks, Kay. I'll go to Nuran, and I'll just ask
Yeah.
as you speak, if it's been said, try to just add
Yeah,
to the
I mean,
conversation.
I mean, I scored 92. I think I'm the highest one I scored, but I think I just want to take this one to another level. More I'm looking at this image. I'm seeing actually a story and narrative in this image is like uh, we talk about the timeless images, but this is the point specific time and shows that actually human environment with human condition with the fauna, how we live together. And this is actually very good representation of today, very this moment that actually we living this documentary lifestyle and giving all that elements that actually birds and penguins actually like in that man-made creature is show integration of the how humans actually like just expanding in like even the hardest most cruel areas. And as an image wise is like I think is flawless for my liking, but for getting actually like looking at more and more in this image that actually showing all that elements together, and this will show that actually second quarter of 21st century's lifestyle of human, how why we facing in this planet. Beautiful narrative for that reason alone, and I think is this one needs to go to gold with distinction for my liking. I'll invite you to come to join because I'm going to go up.
Okay. Andrew, you weren't as enamored, but you did see it as a silver.
Yeah, and I apologize to the photographer there. What I thought was a distracting black mountain range in the background, which could have been handled better by just, lowering the camera. Then I zoomed in even closer and realized, oh, actually, that's the top of the mountain ridge that's running across the whole frame. Missed that. Okay. So I was definitely going up. There's a quirkiness to this image that's really appealing. It's like these little penguins have gathered for the town meeting and they're waiting for someone to open the door of the lodge, which I think is wonderful little bit of humor because it's almost like a little Lego house. I guess the only distraction I have apart from the mountain range, which I now realize I have to forgive, is just the tension in the foreground at the bottom left, the proximity of the water to the bottom of the iceberg there. It's just feels a little bit tight to me, but I'm certainly going up.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's go to Chris Saunders.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to add to all the positives that have been said there. The one thing that's stopping me take this to a gold distinction level, and I only raise it because we are talking about that, is the level of the cyan saturation in the shadows. I think is a bit, for me, quite distracting. And if that had been dialed down a fraction, I would certainly be up in that territory. But it's starting to feel a bit oversaturated in those shadow areas, in the cracks under the building, that area in the bottom left, and the sort of the area above what I think is the ship's mast in the background there. So fantastic image. I know I've jumped straight in there with what's holding me back, but I've scored it gold, and it's I'm very happy with that.
Can always improve. Rachel, are you there? Because I've lost you off the camera, but it's saying that you're still connected.
I am. I think the camera battery's gone flat. I'm just going to change it real quick.
All right. Well, before you change it, I'll get you to just add your comments.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you a reason to forgive those cyans, Chris. Well, I hope I am. I scored this 91, and I'd love people to come up. I feel like the harshness of the environment is, as Kay said, really, really engaging. The fact that I can almost smell that penguin colony is the only thing being there. There's a gravestone in the middle of it, which sort of denotes the fact that humans have given up on this incredibly harsh environment. And yet the icebergs behind that house are almost like monopoly houses and hotels that someone's built there. So I feel like there's so many different stories here that, yeah, I'd easily come up to a gold with distinction.
Okay. Thanks, Rachel. So, judges, as I said, you all have the opportunity to score. You can leave your score where it is. You can go down, you can go up. Entirely up to you. Just again, reassess with that little bit of extra information and time, and let's see what score we get. Thank you. We have 95 gold distinction. Well done, judges. Awesome. Okay, let's have another image, please. Thanks, Kay. And this image scores a 79, highly commended, but we have an auto challenge with a 93 from Kay.
Challenge.
So
93.
Okay, we have a bit of a spread from 76 to 93. I'll give you all a chance to speak if you have something to add. Otherwise, I'll pick three of you. Let's start with you, Kay. And you'll all have the chance to rescore. Kay, you can't. You won't have a right of reply.
I guess what appealed to me about this image was the fact that the treatment is different from what we normally see. It's the infrared effect. And I think the fact that they've done this in, the subject matter they've chosen all creates a unified image within the triptych. The fact that each of the elements have skeletal trees and the unique forms created by the landscape. The skies are powerful within their own right. And I think the photographer's chosen deliberately to, I guess, apply this treatment to make their own statement, whether we understand that or not. There's an etherealness within it. There's texture. There's movement. There's a dynamic within each of the scenes that we're looking at, and that I have scored it in the gold range because I felt that it does have quite significant impact. I'd love to hear what some of the other judges say.
Thanks, Kay. Let's go to Chris.
Yes, so Kate, I liked it as well in terms of that infrared feel of it, and I particularly enjoyed, I think, that some of the, some elements of the sky and the solarization in it, but I felt in sort of the bottom image that solarization in the sky had gone a bit heavy for me. And there's some significant haloing around in the middle image as well, around the main rock formations, the one in the middle and the one on the right hand side, where I guess the processing and the masking hasn't quite come together. So I think there were some technical things in here that were distracting for me.
Andrew, you're in the middle of 80s. You're up at silver distinction.
Yeah, Chris just hit on the I think the reason I wasn't going higher on this one. Individually, they're all very strong images. I'm just wondering if they actually work together to tell any kind of real story, because I'm just thinking that the trouble with putting in a triptych is they're always going to be the sum of their parts. And when one image, as Chris mentioned, is definitely treated not quite as well as the other two, then it sort of lets the whole show down a bit. That said, they're really powerful, very dramatic, and I like them a lot, which is why I'm in that silver range.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. you've all, well, not all of you, but you all have the chance. Sorry, you all have the chance to rescore. No one else had anything to add. So take on board what you've heard and let's rescore. Thanks, judges. That's all of you. 79, highly commended. Well done. Next image, please. Image scores 82, silver award. Everybody pretty consistent. Congratulations to the photographer. And let's have a quick comment from Rachel, please.
Yes, a very ethereal, delicate image. Really enjoyed finding the little swallow perched on one of the branches of the main tree on the right there. I guess for me personally, I'm not exactly sure that the far left-hand misty trees are actually adding as much to the image as they could be. That would be the only thing that I would play around with, would be some alternative cropping. Really enjoy the leading line of that sort of gentle S shape up through into the tree on the right-hand side.
Excellent, thank you. And let's have another judge change, please. Actually, no, we'll go one more print, no, one more image. So we'll have the next image, please. This image scores silver with distinction.
Challenge.
And we have a challenge from Andrew Campbell on 92, going all the way down to 78. Thanks, Andrew. Away you go.
Yeah, the fabulous quality to this image. Looks like it's almost been shot traditional large format camera style, with everything razor sharp from front to back. Really enjoying the, I guess, the isolation of the building itself in that fabulous environment. The change of season that we're seeing and the colors reflected in those trees is sensational, in my opinion. How it divides the image, I guess, bilaterally and really nicely. A little bit of tension on the right-hand side, could have done without that, but really enjoying the way that mist is running through there as well. I think that's really, really something to see. Love it.
Okay, Kay, you're on 78.
Yeah, I guess for me, the reason I've scored it 78 was because I feel it's an image that I've seen before, in terms of that it's not uncommon in terms of I guess the composition and the environment that we're actually looking at. So I didn't feel it was providing me with anything different or unique. I too was distracted with that right tree on the right hand side, which is taking my eye right out. I guess I would like to have seen the photographer bring more, other than just capturing the scene. So just, yeah, bringing something unique and different to it.
Okay, Rachel, you're in silver distinction.
Yeah, I am. I scored this one, I scored 87. Happy to come up with you there, Andrew. I find, yeah, it's a scene that we've seen before. I haven't actually noticed one that has this beautiful example of that change of scenes with the grass not being green. It's really common for these alpine images to have that very, very green grass. So I'm really enjoying the play on tones with the browns, the greens, the browns, the greys and the rocks and stuff like that. And I think the detail is really incredible. And the thing that I find really intriguing is thinking about living in this environment and why that little building with no windows has got this quirky little bent pipe hanging out of it. It's like, what sort of a lifestyle is that they've got this little quirky downwards bent pipe? So it's making me wonder about the landscape and the environment and what it would be like to be there, which is adding to the uniqueness for me.
Thanks, Rachel. Let's go back to you, Andrew, on 92.
Yeah, look, haven't heard too many negatives on this image. Loving the sense of depth. It's carrying me all the way through from the foreground all the way to the tippy top of that mountain. And I'd solidly encourage my fellow judges to open up their scoring range and let's go.
Okay, you hold your score at 92. Judges, take on board what you've heard and rescore. Thank you. This image scores a silver distinction. Congratulations. Well done. And we'll have another judge change. Chris, you can have a break. And Mandarin, you're coming back. Now, we may not... Oh, we will see Mandarin. There she is. Good to see. Okay, let's have the next image, please. This image scores a silver with distinction.
Challenge.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
Who's highest?
I'm going to select Rachel's challenge at 96. We have 78 through to 96. So, yes, off you go, Rachel. Tell everybody what you saw.
What don't I see? Oh my goodness. I see a face. I see a wishbone. I see a sparrow. I see a dog. I see a dove. There's just so much going on here, an upside down skull. And then when I get to the final image, I see the moon, and it makes me think of our fascination with the skies, and how we see shapes in clouds, how we form images within constellations. It's all about imagination within the real world, and it's really beautifully put together. And I can't actually see any flaws. It's got that uniqueness, it's got the imagination, and then it anchors us in that bottom right hand side with reality, which is also an element that we find fascinating because so few of us actually ever get anywhere near it. So I think it's brilliant, and I'd love to see it get a gold distinction.
Thank you, Rachel. Andrew, 78.
I appreciate the pareidolia that my fellow judge is seeing there. Obviously, we can interpret these little shapes as any way we'd like. Not sure why the moon is there and why the moon is blurry and out of focus. I feel like, that's a bit of a major fault. I just don't get it. I think that's the real issue here, so I'm just going to sit back and listen.
Okay, let's go to Mandarin on 85 in the middle there.
That is the best comment, Andrew, because I would love to tell you the story. Now, yeah, 85, and I agree. I found what brought it down for me was that the moon was a little bit unsharp. Otherwise, I would have gone to gold. But the way that I see the narrative of this, and it is such a unique way of showcasing the story of the moon. The moon relates to the tides. And so I see these other images as the reflections that the moon creates on the water, and the story, of the moon affecting the water and the tides and our emotions. So all these little shapes and figures and faces all reflect that, pun intended. So I am definitely thinking of heading up.
Let's go to Kay on 92.
Yeah, wow. When I first saw this image, I thought, gosh, is this actually a cyanotype? And I really still don't even know the answer to that, because the color of it is reminiscent of a cyanotype. It's what Rachel said, it's about imagination. I don't know how many, if as a young child, of you lying down on the ground and watching the clouds and imagining what the shapes of the clouds are, and just being in a dream world. And that's what this is. To me, it is the reflections of the moon on water. And so it's creating, the ripples of the water are creating all these weird and wonderful shapes that we can imagine what they are. All the different shapes are birds, animals, all sorts of things like that. The fact that the moon in the last image brings us back to that reality is what the whole image sums up. The image, it tells the story, what it's about. The fact that it's not clear, I forgive that, because if it is a cyanotype and it's emulating one, it's not always possible to get a really, really sharp edge on a cyanotype image. But it's also maintaining that ethereal softness and mood that is created through each of the other images. So I'm forgiving the fact that that moon's not sharp, 100% sharp in the bottom image, because otherwise, if it was too sharp, it wouldn't visually connect all the other elements within the image. I think it's been beautifully crafted, incredibly well crafted, and the shapes all just blend, and highs and lows and ins and outs, and you can just feel and touch the surface of a water to make the patterns and create what's happening of the reflections of the moon. So I think this is incredibly powerful. I'd actually like to see it in the gold distinction.
Thanks, Kay. Rachel, back to you.
Thank you. I think everyone said pretty much everything I need to. I agree completely. The moon isn't sharp because it's a reflection in the water, and unless you're actually looking at a reflection in a mirror, it's not going to be pin sharp. I also think that, as Casey said, lying on the ground, looking up at the sky, it's not quite sharp because it's actually showing us what we see with our naked eye. It's the truth and the reality. So we've got all of that imagination and all of that dreamlike quality and scope for wandering and being original and unique. But then it brings us right back to what we actually see, which is quite far away and not overly pin sharp. So I wish I could go higher, but I hope you all do.
Thanks, Rachel. You can hold your score. Everybody else can rescore. Taking on board, of course, what you've heard, and how that may or may not change your thoughts. And we end up with a 93, solid gold. Well done to the photographer. Congratulations and well done to the judges. And let's have the next image, please. Image score 79, highly commended. Rachel, you have the opportunity. Is it something you'd like to challenge?
I'll give it a go, yeah.
Yep, let's have a listen.
I scored this silver distinction, and I guess it was the lines and the triangles. So I guess the shapes more than the actual content that really got me. I was flowing right through from that left-hand corner up around that rock, and then into these beautiful little triangles of light and dark and rock and texture. And I found all of those elements just really relaxing and beautiful. So yeah, put it in silver distinction.
Okay, let's have a comment from Andrew on 78.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate all the swirls and elements here as well. I think they're really well seen. I think I'd go with you if the top left-hand side, I guess the highlight there on the top of that rock, if that wasn't there, if that was just kind of leading into almost blackness, then my eye would be maintained within the swirls and the direction towards the center. But as it is, my eye is taken out of the picture up there, and for me, that's why it's falling over.
Thanks, Andy. Kay, 83 in the middle.
Yeah, just quickly, to me, this is actually a very bold choice of composition by the photographer. I almost feel like the foreground rock creates this eel-like element, which is actually on land and trying to seek refuge in the water. So there's a little bit of a narrative there. There's this beautiful texture in the image, and I did think that top left-hand corner did bother me, but I think that again adds another element of almost the rippling, like it was seeking water, but it's not water, it's rock. There's a harshness in the shapes actually work together, even the light, the shapes created with the light and shadow. So I think it is actually well worthy of a silver. So I would like to maybe get up a few more points.
Thanks, Kay. Rachel, back to you.
Thanks, Kay. I don't know that I can add anything more to what Kay said. I think it's quite a beautiful analogy with the eel and the searching for water. And so I just invite everyone to take the time to look again.
Thanks, Rachel. You hold your score at 86. Everybody else reconsider if they choose. Image scores 82, silver award. Well done. And that is the last image on this category of landscape. And I'll now hand you over to the amazing Robin Campbell. But before I do, thank you to the panel. Wonderful group. Well done. That was awesome. Great comments. Just a pleasure to sit here and guide you through the process. Robin, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Tony. And we really appreciate your panel mentoring as well. It's not just guiding the judging process, but it's also the additional educational input you put in. It's very much appreciated by all of the entrants. So thanks so much, Tony. That does conclude the judging of the landscape category. So thank you also to the judges. There was some incredible poetic interpretations in there, which was really beautiful to hear. It just made the whole judging process an absolute pleasure to listen to. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the entrants. Thank you for sharing your beautiful work with the photographic community. It does take a little bit of guts to sort of pull together your best works and put it on display for other people to critique. So thank you to our entrants. If you didn't make the top 30 this year, take the feedback on board and keep working towards next year, because you just never know what year is going to be yours. Thank you to the technical crew and behind the scenes team. Thank you to our amazing sponsors, Nikon, AZO, KL, Godox, Ilford, Photography Studies College, and the Print Shop. You're all awesome. We really appreciate your support. And thank you to those of you who have tuned in. We hope that you've enjoyed the judging. We're going to have the winners of this category announced in our live awards presentation next Sunday, the 20th of July from 5 p.m. onwards. So mark it in your diaries, make sure you're there. It's going to be amazing. And coming up next is our aerial category. So that's starting in about an hour's time. So we hope you can join us. And in the meantime, thanks for hanging out and checking out some of the best photography in Australia for the landscape category. Take care, everyone.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, This will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing